it's been, now it's almost what, 29 years, the journey, if I can look at it. But if you actually trace when I started not as a career, but when I joined architecture, which was as a course, which was in 1991. But I would say my journey really began in 1989 when I got to know about a profession called architecture. Because most people at that point of time spoke about chartered accountancy or doctors or engineers. And I mean, most parents didn't know what an architect was. And I was lucky that my neighbors happened to be architects and I could see their work. And they said, this is perfect for me, because they said, you know what, this particular course, you don't need maths. And I was like, I was very bad at mathematics, and that prompted me to join architecture. However, I realized after joining, and to my delight, that architecture was all about mathematics, and my love for that mathematics has been a huge part of my journey as an architect. And once I finished the course and once I started working with other firms, I joined with architect Dean D'Cruz in Goa. I worked there for 3 years. I was in Chennai with architect Chandar Sitaraman. Then I dabbled with a little bit of traveling. I was in Kolkata, then I was in Manipal, which is my hometown. I came back there to start my own practice, and also I was as a faculty in the Manipal School of Architecture. Now, that time it was part of MIT. And then I was, working on projects out there as well as teaching. And I also started in 2000, I started a theatre group called Ramanon, which is a huge part of my life right now, this celebrating 25 years of that. And then I went for my master's in 2005, after working for almost 9 years, to CEPT, Ahmedabad. And subsequently, I was working in Mumbai. Then I've been in Hyderabad for the longest. Now it's almost 18 years I've been in Hyderabad. And I came to Hyderabad, I was called by my close friend Srinath from Ants to work as a design director in his firm. And eventually in 2014, I started on my own. So that's been my journey as at this firm. Arcade began in 2014. So this is this December it completes 11 years, and it's been going on. I think it's been a wonderful journey, because I think architecture is not just about doing as many projects, but it's also about learning about ourselves. So that's been a fantastic journey for me. So, as I said, in 2014, I got a project, and it's one of my favorite projects. And the client came specifically to me, and then, it kind of allowed me to start on my own, if that makes sense. Because I was part of another firm, and then, that made me, or allowed me to step out and say, okay, I can set up my own firm in Hyderabad, although I'm not from here. And I think Hyderabad has a very strong thing about the community, and kisko project dena hai, kisko nahi dena, and so on. But then I was lucky enough to find these clients, the Desai, and I happened to do their project. And that gave me a lot of confidence to start completely on my own. And then subsequently I did other projects. Very interestingly, because of my whole theatre circle, I started getting projects from there also, because I do theatre. So I think it's also part of my business development, if I might sound quite funny about that. But the whole, the point is that although they say that architecture, it's one of the noble professions where you're not supposed to advertise, the only way an architect can advertise themselves is through their work. And that's why we say every project that you take up, don't do it for the money, but do it in such a way that that project stands out. That project is something that people will talk, because every time somebody sees that one and they say, you know what, I want to work with this architect. And that's when I say I want to work with this architect, the whole point is that we look at any kind of a creative process as a collaborative process. The client and us it's like I'm designing my own house or my own space whenever we work with a client. So that's been the journey for me as far as Arcade is concerned. And over the last 11 years, we've been lucky enough to work on a lot of projects. There is one point which I would like to tell, that 70% of the projects don't actually get built. And you can ask this to most architectural firms, maybe 50%, the lucky ones, because of various reasons. Because architectural projects are massive, like there's a lot of money involved and so on. So therefore, or something happens, or there's some litigation issues, or the client has a bad day or whatever, so projects might not really happen. But we have looked at the process of working on a project also as a project, which means that one of our philosophies is, irrespective of whether this project is being built or not built, we will give it our best and make that process itself is enjoyable. And that has been a very strong philosophy, which means we don't feel bad when we don't see the project being built, because we've already enjoyed working on the project. And that's been the journey for Arcade. That's one of the grounding philosophies, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jay Krishna. I graduated in 2018 from Sri Venkateswara College of Architecture, which is in Madhapur. And as a part of our academic course, we need to do internship, which is a practical training in our last semester, which is in 9th and 10th semester. So that time where I got into this office and applied here for doing the practical training. After coming here, I just realized you'll get to know the ground reality of how to work with real sites and real dimensions, and what are the limitations and how we can work with all the coordination part with the clients and all the vendors and all.
The experience in like here is more like learning about materials, and then how materials works. And then one thing always sir used to tell is, like, he used to have a metaphor, like a sort of thing, like as a painter you should know when to stop a painting. So maybe that's the thing we have to learn, I guess. You should know when to stop designing a thing, or like when to like you have to set your boundaries and then make the designs accordingly. And then like as a student we never had any boundaries or like any things to check on it, like for example about the costing, or like about the materials, or like how the fixture detail works, etc.
Or Vastu.
Yeah. But when you enter into the reality and like in the market, it's completely different, to be honest. Like you have this Vastu thing, and then you have the whole bylaws, and then you have cost cutting, and then like many fixture details. Like it's not like you're going to design something in Inkscape or like SketchUp and then it will be exactly the same on the site. It will come. So like for example, like the furnitures, everything might be changed, right? Like so we have to design the pattern and then design the color palettes according to that, so that it will work whatever your vision is. That's the main thing, I guess.
I came across Arcade's portfolio, and I was really attracted to the variety of projects that we have here. And it actually it had a good range of residential, institutional, urban design, hospitality projects, which really attracted me to coming here. And of course, a conversation with Sir online during my interview did bring me here. So what I love the most about our firm is that we consider the projects as our own. So even if it is the client who's got the project to us, we really do consider it as our own project, and it's a wholesome collaborative process. We really work on a lot of options, and it's a great process till we get to the final product. And the exposure we get here as an intern or as an employee as well, I think, in terms of communicating with the client or dealing with presentations or coordinating with different consultants.
See, I feel that there is a slightly flawed understanding of what sustainability means. I like to give a very interesting example. In 2004, our ex-railway minister, Lalu Prasad Yadav ji, introduced this system of a kullad. If you're aware of kullards, which are these clay pots in which you serve chai, and as a nation which loves chai, it became a talking point. And the whole idea was very simple, like you're making kullards from the earth, and as Indians who believe in distributing resources across our country, we tend to throw away our cups on the railway tracks, right? So basically this kullards became a symbol of you throw them, but they merge into the soil. Therefore, it's perhaps one of the best examples of what sustainability means, which means you're taking something from the soil, utilizing it, and you're throwing it back into the soil. But not only that, it had a different value, which means that it supported potters in railway stations. The whole idea was that all railway stations cannot use plastic, they'll be using these clay pots. However, there was a lot of logistical issues with that, because it's difficult to store them because a lot of breakages happen. It was much more expensive than plastic cups. And it's difficult to carry for a chaiwala to walk through the train to carry about 50 cups, and the weight of that 50 cups is too much for them to create a certain economics for their daily earnings. So therefore it kind of failed. But the question is, are we willing to pay that price? If a plastic cup costs you 25 paise and a kullad would cost you a rupee, which means 4 times more, are you willing to pay that price to save the planet, so to speak, if that is what it means? The problem with the sustainability we talk about green buildings, is that now it's become a little bit of an eyewash, where it's become more about, as I was telling earlier, let's bring in, you put some solar panels, you do some rainwater harvesting, you do some recycling of water, yours is a green building. I think the problem is with the entire approach by itself. The approach starts with, what materials you want to use. How do you want to design the space? What's your ideology behind this building? Because at the end of the day, we make these buildings, we say we are having all this, and the buildings are heavily air conditioned. You're getting materials from all over the world. That's another important factor, because you start getting furniture and materials and light fixtures from different parts of the world. That's also contributing to the energy consumption because of the transportation of it. And then, of course, you're getting resources and workers from different parts of the world. So, if you look at the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank in Hong Kong, the entire building, at that point, one of the most expensive buildings, had products from some 160 different countries. I'm not sure of the exact number, but from different countries, all parts came there and the whole structure was built. So the amount of consumption of energy to build a structure, it takes a lot of that. But more importantly, what we focus a lot on is to run the building, to maintain the building over a period of time. How much energy does it consume? That is a bigger question. Because, you can build a structure, it might take some energy, which is fine, but to run it over the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years maybe, what is it that is being consumed? If you can work towards that approach. And that was a changing thing for me, because there is a cost involved, like the kullad. Are we willing to pay that cost? Like today, if you want to design a building which is you say it's a sustainable practices, through sustainable practices, through a design philosophy, you want to create a building like that. Are you willing to pay that additional price to save the planet? Are you?